This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 2136, 11 Things That Will Help You Get Through Tough Times in Life, Part 1, by Sabrina of thebuddingoptimist.com. And I'm Justin Malik. Happy Saturday and welcome to one of the only podcasts in the world where blogs are narrated to you for free with permission from the authors. Today I have a bit of a longer post. I'll read the first half today and then finish the rest for you tomorrow. So with that, let's get right to part 1 and start optimizing your life. 11 Things That Will Help You Get Through Tough Times in Life, Part 1, by Sabrina of thebuddingoptimist.com. Are you having a tough time in your life? If so, this is for you. That's right, I've written these words for you. Because when I was going through some tough times in my life, it was books, videos, and articles like this one I'm about to share with you that helped pull me out from the depth of fear and dread. And I hope my words can do the same for you, or at the very least, offer you some comfort. But before we go any further, I want you to take a deep breath in right now, pause for a second at the top of the breath, and then let it out with a long exhale, and repeat. I want you to breathe like this for the duration of this article, and if you can, for at least 5 minutes every day here on after. Even if you don't remember anything else from this article, that's okay, as long as you remember to take deeper, fuller breaths. Because you need your breath in order to get through whatever you're going through. And now, if you're ready, let us begin with 5 things to remember as we go through a difficult time in our life. These simple yet profound reminders will help put us in the right mindset to face life's many hurdles, however big or small they may be. You ready? 5 things to remember when times are tough. Number 1, you're not helpless. When life's not going well, it's natural to feel that you have no control over your fate, like you're a tiny prey in the jaws of a towering predator or a piece of floating kelp in a tidal storm. I used to feel that way too. I used to think there was nothing I could do to make my days better. There was a period of time when I literally wasted away in a hospital bed. I did nothing except stare at the ceiling all day or watch the Food Network to pass the time. No offense to the Food Network. When people encouraged me to get out of the bed, I thought, what's the point? After a month of living in the hospital like this, I became so weak, I could barely walk down from one end of a street to another before losing my breath. I needed a shot of Benadryl to make me sleep every night. And the worst part was the anxiety. No matter how hard I tried to distract myself, I couldn't tear my eyes and my thoughts away from the clock. It's only been 5 minutes? When can I get out of here? I did eventually get out of the hospital, but barely 2 years later, I was in the hospital again for an extended period of time, except this time I had a completely different experience. I was active. I did a lot of productive things like walking, reading, and drawing. I stopped watching the clock and felt a steady flow of peace within me. And my mood was noticeably better. I felt in every way healthier and happier, even though I was dealing with every cancer patient's nightmare, relapse, and the treatment regimen was tougher than anything I'd encountered before. So what caused this change? I stopped believing I was helpless. When you stop believing you are powerless and focus on each and every little thing you can do, everything around you changes, even though the objective reality hasn't changed at all. The next time you think, I'm powerless, I have no control over anything, or there's nothing I can do, remember to challenge these thoughts. Ask yourself, what's within my power to change? And trust me, there is always something if you dig deep enough. Number 2, life is a sine wave. Life is not a straight line between 2 dots, but a sine wave with many crests and troughs. There are times in our lives when joy comes easily, when everything just seems to fall in line and run smoothly like a well-oiled machine. These are the crests. There are also times in our lives when one thing after another falls off the rails and nothing goes according to plan. These are the times when we'd have to work a little harder to find our smile, the troughs. And if there's one thing I learned in math class about the nature of a sine wave, it's this. What goes up must come down, and similarly, what comes down must go up. Unfortunately, we can't ride on the peak of a crest forever in our lives, but the good news is that, on the other hand, we won't always be at the bottom of a trough either. This was one of the things I kept reminding myself during those years when I battled cancer. I admit I didn't believe it wholeheartedly at first. It was just something everyone who'd been living for much, much longer than me kept saying was true. And so it was with a dose of post-teenage skepticism that I took their word. But I'm glad I did because they were right. It's been 13 years since my first diagnosis, and in this period of time, I've had a few ups and downs, and I see clearly now that life really is a sine wave where no crest or trough lasts forever. So even though times may be hard right now, and the darkness may have fallen around you for so long that you might be starting to wonder if dawn would ever break, you must trust in the nature of life's sine wave. What comes down must go up. Things will get better. Number 3, worrying won't solve anything. Is my life always going to be like this? When am I going to get out of this rut? What if things don't get better? Are thoughts like these spinning in your head? If you're constantly ruminating about what hasn't happened yet, it's time to slow down and take notice. Excessive worrying is not just a nuisance, it can take a real toll on your body and mind. So what can you do about it? You know the worrying has got to stop, but it's so hard to not worry when you're going through a tough time in your life. I can see you nodding. First, remember the fact that worrying won't actually solve anything. If we can make our problems disappear every time we worried, we wouldn't have any problems to face. So you have 2 choices. You could worry away every minute of your waking hours, like I did once upon a time, and get nothing in return except more anxiety and frustration, or you could spend all that time and energy on finding things you can do to improve the situation. Your call. Number 4, hear that on tomorrow's episode. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled 11 Things That Will Help You Get Through Tough Times in Life by Sabrina of thebuddingoptimist.com. All right, I'll finish the rest for you in tomorrow's episode. The sine wave thing was something I was just talking about with my business partner in a meeting. Just like life, businesses follow that sine wave pattern too. Always up and down in a constant flow. I think the goal is to bring that whole wave up a few notches so that the highs are even higher and the lows aren't as low, still low, but not as bad. Now that's easier said than done, but these tips will help. Something to think about today. Thank you for being here and listening every day, including the weekends, and I'll be back tomorrow to finish up this post where your optimal life awaits.